The Catholic Morning Show.
We're back here on the Catholic Morning Show. I'm Bo Bonner, Alexia Baker, Aidan Pugh, and Brady Grimm wishing you a good morning and many blessings from us. Thanks for spending time with us here on Iowa Catholic Radio. Make sure to join us tomorrow as we get a chance to talk with Julie Curry and Dodie Bauman. Also get a chance to talk about their upcoming Memorial Day Mass. We're happy to have you with us. And let's go ahead and turn to our final interview of the day. Marion Scott is the music director for Saint Augustin, Des Moines. We're going to talk about an upcoming Corpus Christi concert they have ready to go. Marion, thanks for coming on the Catholic Morning Show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
So if you don't mind, let's go ahead and tell us about what the details of the Mass, where people can find out more about it.
Well, this is it's a concert, not a mass. But
excuse me. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, it's going to be 7 o'clock on Wednesday, June 3rd, and we have a wonderful lineup of music that is very rarely heard. You know, we hear great pieces of classical music in concert halls, but these pieces were really written to be done in church. And we have, as Catholics, so many opportunities to celebrate, so many wonderful feast days that have amazing music by the greatest composers written for them. It's really a cultural treasure, and it's something that the Catholic community in Des Moines, not just Saint Augustine, but the larger Des Moines area, gets together and sings these oratorios for God's glory. And for this feast day in commemoration, it's something very special to me. As a convert, probably the hardest thing for me was the doctrine of the Eucharist. And I remember going to Mass a few times, and for quite a while, and I always wrestled with this. And one Mass, I said, "Well, God, if you want me to become Catholic, you got to show me in this Mass something to show me that you are there, and the body and the blood are there in the Eucharist." And that Sunday was the reading of the Road to Emmaus, and it suddenly struck me that when they were having at table with the Lord, then Jesus broke the bread and he disappeared, but he left himself there in the Holy Eucharist. And so I was like, okay, God, well, thank you. So
it's very nice of him to make it that clear.
That clear on that particular Sunday. So I think this particular feast day has a very special significance for me as well.
Well, and so Corpus Christi, of course, maybe if people don't know why this is liturgically so important, of course, during Triduum, we get the chance to, of course, Holy Thursday, Maundy Thursday, celebrate the institution of the Mass. But in some ways, right, this is a second chance to get to celebrate the importance of the Mass and the body of Christ in a festal sort of way, rather in the middle of Triduum.
Yes. And it was suggested first by St. Thomas Aquinas, who was one of the doctors of the Church, and was approved after the recognition of the Eucharistic miracle in Bolsena, Italy. And our family actually had the wonderful honor of going to Bolsena in 2018, and you can see, if you go into the church, there's a tile that has the stain of the precious blood on it, which is really amazing to see. So I would recommend that highly to anybody who's able to make the trip. Yeah. So
you get this the way in which this is compounded, like the ancient devotion of the liturgies in the Mass, but then the medieval way in which Thomas Aquinas adds his perspective on how we can better understand the miracle of the transubstantiation. But as the Church proceeds forward, the sort of artistic ruminations and considerations bring out some of the best in all of Western music. And so you have some real heavyweights, of course, that people are going to get a chance to listen to. Bach's Cantata, Mendelssohn's Sequence for Corpus Christi, and then even William Byrd. I didn't know if you wanted to just talk briefly about the selections for the concert that you're putting on.
Well, it is... what can you say? They're amazing composers. Bach, of course, is Bach, the giant of the classical world, and this particular cantata was one of many cantatas he wrote. But the pure output, the outpouring of his soul in these is amazing. He would write the cantata on Monday, and then an entire work for soloist and choir and orchestra, and he would get his children to copy down the parts for the musicians on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday they would rehearse it, and then on Sunday they'd perform it. And he did this for year after year after year. So he has, on top of all of his other works, he just has this I would like to say stream of consciousness kind of approach to composing, except the music is so unbelievably detailed. This particular cantata is about Christ leading us to himself, and is both ornate and very, very profound. Then we're going to have the Ave Verum, our Hail True Body of William Byrd, who is an amazing composer. And Byrd was a Catholic in England when it was very unpopular to be Catholic.
Yes.
He was the court composer for the Queen.
The miracle that he didn't get killed is...
Exactly.
People need to go read about William Byrd.
William Byrd is
BYRD.
amazing, right?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No, for sure. He had... a gift for composing, of course, and kind of a artistic monopoly on composing in England at that time. People had to compose in that style. And as the court composer for the Queen, he was given quite a few concessions to be Catholic, even when his life was in danger because of it. But he was given the singular honor of being the only person in England who was legally able to have the Mass to receive the Eucharist. So they imported a priest and had a separate chapel just for William Byrd. But he wrote an enormous amount of very high music in the 1500s, late 1500s. And his Ave Verum is going to be sung by children's choir. It's a 4-part children's choir, so it's quite complicated. And then Mendelssohn, the Laodicean, of course, we are used to hearing the chant on Corpus Christi before the Alleluia, which is such a beautiful text. The text is, Hail Zion, and everything about the Eucharist in such a beautiful, poetic way. Mendelssohn himself was perhaps the most prodigious of all composers. Even Mozart, some would say, he was equal to. And like Mozart, he also passed away very, very young. But there's stories of Mendelssohn composing. He made his premiere writing Midsummer Night Dream, and at 17, and he left the orchestral parts in the cabbie when he went to the premiere, and the cabbie drove off with the music for all the musicians, and Mendelssohn, everybody was freaking out because it was 3 hours to premiere, and Mendelssohn said, why is everybody so worried? So he sat down and he wrote out the entire symphony from memory, including all the parts separately, which is a pretty amazing mental feat. Yeah. The church has this incredible treasure of culture, right? Mendelssohn wrote this the sequence, which is very rarely heard, and I'm honored that we're able to do it at Saint Augustin. But just generally, the church was a way for the average person to hear beauty, hear high music, and in a time when most of high culture was involved in the aristocracy, or there were not publicly available museums, and concert halls were well out of reach of the average person. People would come to the church to see beauty, to experience something that was a reflection of the divine, right? And I think when I'm in Italy or in Europe, in many places in the U.S. as well, I also see that it's shocking to me when you go into a church in Italy, you can turn a corner and you can see a Caravaggio painting and, Bernini, and it's the separation between art and religion and Catholicism. There was no separation. It was all one. And I think it's amazing to hear these pieces in a church where they were actually originally intended to be sung, rather than in a secular environment or a university setting, whereas most likely you're going to hear them these days. So I think it's really amazing, and we're blessed in Des Moines especially to have this amazing Catholic community. The music directors of several of the churches get together, and several choir members come from Basilica, from Sacred Heart, from Christ the King, and so on, and as well as Saint Augustine. And we sing these amazing works for God's glory, and I think it's just a wonderful cooperative effort to bring these great works of music back to life.
Absolutely. So we're at the end here of the interview. Just want to make sure people know all of the details again. So if you don't mind running them down, when can people go experience this beauty in the church and setting it was meant to be? So
this is on Wednesday, June 3rd. At 7 p.m. Again, that's Wednesday, June 3rd. It's Saint Augustin, which is the corner of Grand and 42nd. And it is going to be a free concert. And just come and enjoy beautiful music.
Absolutely. Well, look, we all look forward to it. Marion Scott is the music director for Saint Augustin Des Moines, upcoming Corpus Christi concert in June 3rd. Thank you for coming on the Catholic Morning Show.
Thank you for having me.